Hi guys, today I'm going to be doing a full face of makeup using some newly released products and also some that were released not too long ago, and there's also a couple of new to me products as well. So all my skincare has been done for the morning, and the last step is my sunscreen. For primer, I'm going to use, this is fairly newly released, it's the Dior Forever. This is the Velvet Veil Primer, which I absolutely love. I think with the foundation that I'm using today, I think it's the first time I've used this foundation with this primer, but this primer has worked with all the other foundations that I've tried so far, so I can't see why it won't work with the one that I'm going to use today. This gives a really, really beautiful base for your makeup. It gives you a really smooth canvas, and I just think it's a really, really beautiful primer. When it was first released, I did a dedicated video on this. So if you want to take a look at that, I'll put the link up here for you to take a look at. For my foundation today, I'm going to use the Tom Ford. This is the shade in Illuminate. I don't think I ever did a dedicated video on this. This just gives a really gorgeous finish. This one is in the shade, I'm just having a look, it is 5.6 in Ivory Beige. So I'm just going to pump on the back of my hand, and I'm going to put it on today using a beauty blender. I put it on with a brush as well. It's just that even though it's autumn here, it's still quite warm, and when the weather's warmer, I do prefer putting on foundation just using a beauty blender. So this foundation it is a full medium finish, and it just goes on that little bit sheerer when I use a beauty blender, but it also gives a really beautiful finish using a brush as well. And for concealer today, I'm going to use the Dior Forever, the Skin Correct one. This is the new formulation, which I bought, it's not too long ago now, and I absolutely love it. I think this is a really, really beautiful concealer. I think it's really hydrating, and it just goes really well with my mature under eyes. It's a really, really lovely concealer. So I've now done my eyebrows. I've put eyeshadow primer on. I powdered under my eyes and my face as well. Everything that I'm putting on my face today, I will have listed and linked below. So for bronzer today, I'm going to use the new Hermes bronzer. I did a dedicated video on this not too long ago, and that was with the shade, this one here, 02 Atlas, and while I did think this looked really beautiful on, I decided to pick up the next shade up, and that's number 03 Sahara. So I've got this still packaged, although I did use this the other day when I did a live with Liz from Chicago Law Luxury Makeup. That was on her channel. I thought the shade was really, really lovely. So this is shade 03 Sahara. I love the formula of these. These are just silky smooth. I think they are a beautiful, beautiful bronzer. But I'm going to swatch them on the back of my hand just so you can take a look. So I'll do Atlas first and then just go into Sahara. So this is the shade 02 Atlas, and this one is 03 Sahara. So you can see that Sahara is cooler than Atlas, so I'm really pleased that I picked up the shade. So I'm going to take my Sonia G, this is the Niji Pro brush, and just lightly just swirl through, and I'm just going to tap just a little bit on. I love the scent that these Hermes bronzers have, and it's the same as with their blush as well. I just love it. I think it's really, really beautiful. This is a gorgeous shade, 03. I like the 02 as well. If you just want it, sort of a more warmer look. This is still a beautiful shade though for a bronzer. I think it's really, really lovely. So I'm pleased that I did pick up 03. These bronzers are fairly pricey, and New Zealand now has them in stock at Smith & Co's, And I am tempted to pick up the darker shade that they have. I'm not quite sure. I think that's 05. I can't remember the name of it. It might be Colorado. I'm not too sure. It has apparently a little bit of red in it, and I do really like the Chantecaille bronzer, the One Goer, and I just think it would be just quite a nice shade. I'm still not too sure whether I'll pick it up, but I love the formula of these bronzers. They blend beautifully and they are just silky smooth to put on. Really, really beautiful. And I also picked up one of the Hermes. This is their luminizers as well. It's the Iridescent mineral powder, which I'll be using as a highlighter today. That is in the shade 01, so I'll put that on after my eyeshadow. So now let's take a look at the Tom Ford Forbidden Pink. I also used this in the live the other day that I did with Liz. And I've also used this a couple of times as well, just for my everyday makeup. Now, there were two other quads that were released as well. One was Cherry Smoke, which I'm not really that interested in. And they do have that one in New Zealand. But the other one, Electric Cherry, I am quite interested in that one. But we haven't got that in stock here yet, so I'm not too sure whether we'll get it. This is a beautiful quad. It has those rosy undertones. Not pink so much, more rosy, but I think it is really, really beautiful. So just hold it up so you can take a closer look at it. It's not in pristine condition because I have used it, including the live that I did with Liz. I've used it at least 3 times now. So I will swatch this on my arm so you can take a look. So this quad is in the creme formula, which I think is really, really beautiful. It just swatches like a dream. I think it's a really beautiful colour story. So I'm going to take the Sonia G. This is the Classic Crease, and I'm going to start with this shade here. This is how the order that I'm doing it in is how I have worn it the last 3 or so times that I've worn it, and I think it goes on beautifully, and I quite like the order of putting them on this way. I think it looks really, really nice. So I'm just taking it all over the lid, through the crease, and above as well. This is quite a soft shade. It's a soft rose shade. It's definitely got that rose in there. The brown with that rose. I think it's really, really lovely. Then we're going to take the Reference number 3. I'm staying with this shade here, and I'm just going to run that under my lower lash line. I will go over with the darker shade as well, but I just want to start off with this. Then I'm going to take the Reference number 14, go into the shade here, and I'm going to run that through the crease and more towards the inner part here and slightly above as well. And then I'm going to stay with the Reference 14, and now I'm going to go into the darkest shade here, and I'm just going to put that in the outer corner, and I'm just going to take it slightly above as well. The creme formula is really, really beautiful. It blends like a dream, really, and I do think the formula is really flattering for mature skin. Then I'm going to go back to the Reference 3 into the darker shade, and I'm going to run this under my lower lash line as well. Then we'll take the Chukuhodo. This is the F06, and go into the shade, and I'm going to put this on the rest of my lid. You do get a little bit more payoff if you use your finger, but I think the finish just using the brush is really beautiful as well. But I will go over this part again using my finger just so that you can see. So I'll just go in and go over here again. So you can see that it gives more payoff. And you get almost a liquidy sort of wet look with the shadow. But it's not too much like some other shadows like Pat McGrath. Her shadows have beautiful payoff. But I just feel sometimes that they can be a little bit too much, where although I get more payoff using my finger with that shadow, I do think it gives a really, really beautiful finish. So I'm just going to take one of my fluffy brushes that is clean, and I'm just going to just go all over and just blend it all out and soften it out as well. I think this is a really easy quad to use, and I think it is a really beautiful colour story as well. Now, often what I do, sometimes I think I need a little bit more deepening in the outer corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this Sonia G brush. It's the pencil one. And I'm going to go into this darker shade again. And I'm just going to put a little bit more in. And I will blend it out. But I'll just use a smaller, fluffier brush to do that. So I'm going to take the Sonia G. This is the soft definer. And because this is small and it's fluffy, I can blend it out. But just sort of pinpoint where I'm doing it. And then finally I'm going to use one of the applicators that came with the quad, and I'm going to go back into the shade here. And I want to run some of this just through here. And then I think I'm going to take the soft definer brush again, and I'm going to go into the darker shade. I want a little bit more under my lower lash line. So I'm just going to run that through. This is a great little brush. If you can get your hands on a small brush like this, it's more fluffier. You can use it in a lot of different ways. I get a lot of use out of this brush. Really, really pretty. So for eyeliner, I've picked up a By Terry eyeliner. I've used quite a few different By Terry products, but I hadn't tried their eyeliners before. So this is the Crayon Blackstar. It says it's no transfer and waterproof. And I got this in the shade Brown Secret. So this is what the eyeliner looks like. It's just a basic one where you can sharpen. And I'm just going to swatch this on the back of my hand, and it feels very, very smooth going on. And this is in the shade Brown Secret. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to go on really easily because it felt really smooth when I swatched it. The real test will be whether it lasts with my oily skin, and I do have oily eyelids as well. So I'll just pop some of this on and just see how it applies. So it goes on really, really smoothly. And there is absolutely no tugging. And I'll put a little bit on my lower lash line as well. I don't want too much on my lower lash line. So I'm just going very, very lightly. And just barely touching the lower lash line, and it deposits the product really well. It's very smooth. So instead of the blush that I was going to use today, I was going to use one of the new Bobbi Brown ones, but I've used them a few times now in some videos. I was going to use the bronze one, which is really, really beautiful. I think I'm going to use the Tom Ford quad, and I want to try the shade and see what this looks like as a blush. And then after I've popped this on, I'll use the new Hermes highlighter. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit Might have a little bit too much brown in it, but we'll see how it goes. And I'm actually going to take a little bit more up here than I normally do. Well, I think it's actually a really beautiful shade for a blush, and it just ties in the eye look as well. Really, really lovely. I think that is a beautiful colour for a blush. I thought it might look quite good because I do like these types of shades for blushes. They have that little bit of brown on them. It isn't too much. I think this is really, really beautiful as a blush. Really, really beautiful. And it blends out beautifully. Very happy that I decided to use that shade as a blush. I think it is really beautiful. So now let's get on to the highlighter, the new Hermes one. It's actually called the Iridescent Mineral Powder. And really this is like an all-over luminizer. I'm just going to use it as a highlighter today. When you open these packs, inside the lid here, it does tell you what they're for. So it says the H Trio, a harmony of 3 subtle shades. So to highlight the facial features, or as a trio for an all-over natural radiant finish. Now this one I also used in the live with Liz the other day, and I thought it was beautiful. It's quite subtle, so I see what they mean when they say that you can use it all over if that's the look you want. Today I'm just going to put it just up here. I might take it all over the blush as well, just to give a really, really beautiful glow. So this is the shade 01 in Rose. So I will hold this up a bit closer so you can take a look at it. So again, just like the bronzer, it has the H in the middle, and it's a trio of different shades in there. So you've got the more cooler right in the middle here, and the H is just a little bit more warmer. So I've just swatched all the 3 different shades in here. So this is on it's on the outside of the H. This shade is in the H itself, and the third one that's in the very middle. And then finally I've just swiped through all 3 shades, and that's what all 3 shades look like together. So I'm going to take the Chukuhodo. This is the F01. This is a powder brush, and it's a lot bigger and really fluffy, just like the blush brush. And I'm going to swirl through all 3 shades, and I'm going to go over the blush. And again, this has got a fragrance, just like the bronzer has as well. Really, really beautiful. You do get that, it's that luminosity, and I think this would also go really beautifully under a blush as well. It's really, really pretty, and it's not too much. I think it just looks really, really beautiful. I will do an extra amount just on the high point here, so I'm going to just run my finger through all 3 shades and just swipe some up here. So you can see the extra payoff that you get. Now I am going to buff that in a little bit. I'll just put some on the other side first so you can take a look. It's a very silky type of formula, and it's almost like it melts into your skin, it melds into your skin. I'm just looking for my Sonia G. This is the buffer brush, and this is the travel set that she put out a little while ago. So I'm just going to buff that part there in, just so I haven't got quite so much of a stripe. So I think that is really, really beautiful. It doesn't emphasize my texture. It is just gorgeous. Now when I did wear this the other day, I did this early in the morning, then I had to go out, and the highlight stayed on all day, and it just looked really, really beautiful. And I'm loving that blush underneath too, the eyeshadow that I use. I think it looks really, really lovely. So for lipstick today, I'm going to use a by Terry one. I have a couple of other shades. I decided to pick up the shade 1 in Sexy Nude. These are the Hyaluronic Hydro Balms, and these are just absolutely beautiful. And they tend to have a bit more pigment than your average balm compared to like a Hermes one or the Chanel. Really, really lovely. They are also really hydrating, and they do have that typical by Terry scent. It's a rose scent, so if you don't like that, you won't like these. But if you don't mind that, these are just such a beautiful formula. So I'm just going to hold this up so you can take a look at it. It has the embossing on the end there, which goes pretty quickly once you start using it. And I'm just going to swatch this on the back of my hand. So it really is just the perfect nude colour. Really, really beautiful. So I think that the final look is really, really pretty. The Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate foundation is beautiful. And once I'd finished putting it on, because I haven't used this for a while, that's because I have so many different foundations. Love the finish on my skin. I think it is just beautiful, and it does confirm to me that I do like it more than the Tom Ford, the Traceless Soft Matte foundation. This is definitely superior. I think it gives just such a beautiful, beautiful finish. The new shade in the Hermes bronzer 03 instead of the 02, love it. I'll still use the 02, but the 03 I think is absolutely perfect, and I still may pick up shade 05. I think these bronzers are absolutely beautiful. The Tom Ford Forbidden Pink, such a beautiful, beautiful colour story. It just has those beautiful rose undertones, and this shade here just worked beautifully as a blush. I thought it was really, really gorgeous. And the new Hermes, the Iridescent Mineral Powder, really just like a all over luminizer. You can get that more pigment by putting it on with your finger and then buffing it in. It works beautifully over the blush. I think it would go beautifully underneath as well. Just keep it to a really, really soft brush. If you wanted just a soft luminizing look all over your face, you could do that. I don't tend to do that, but I do think it looks beautiful on the cheeks. Like I was saying before, it melds with your skin. It's just really, really beautiful. I do like this by Terry eyeliner. I have to wait and see how this wears during the day. It's still quite early in the morning here, but if I remember, I will pin a comment and let you know how this wore. I think it applied beautifully. It is buttery soft, and I do love the brown shades for an eyeliner. And the lip balm is number 1, the one they call Sexy Nude. It is the perfect nude, and I think it's really beautiful. I love the formula of them. I think they are really hydrating and comfortable on the lips. And this type of shade is really my everyday type of shade. I love it. They are fuss-free, and if I need to go out, I can just throw it into my handbag and reapply it without even really having to look in the mirror. I just think these shades are really, really beautiful. So I am thrilled with all the makeup that I put on today and my recent purchases. I think they are really, really lovely. So that's it for today's video. I'd love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.